become engaged and to really think about what it means to be a global citizen.
Awesome.
And I guess the way Pugwash
that sounds awesome.
It is. No, it's awesome.
It does.
Yeah.
Quick plug in.
I see you getting fired up.
Oh no, this is good.
Oh, yeah.
We want to see the
yeah.
t-shirts, all that.
Can you send us the t-shirts for a future podcast, maybe?
Very rich, too.
Nice, Tom.
Hey, always after the merch, right?
Swag is important.
Well, welcome to the stream, an unscripted, unedited, free-flowing conversation featuring guests who reject the status quo with a bias for action in the world of water and beyond. My name is Tom Freyberg, an environmental journalist and content creator specializing in water.
And I'm Will Sarni, a water strategy consultant, doing my part to solve wicked water problems.
And today we're pleased to welcome Rachel Svetanoff and Lumbie Mlambo from JB Dondolo. Rachel and Lumbie, welcome to the stream. Good to see you guys. How are you?
Thank you. I'm just doing fantastic myself.
Thank you so much. No, we're very much grateful for this opportunity and we're doing well. Thank you.
Fantastic. So let's kind of get warmed up into things because today, for people listening, you want to hear about JB Dondolo's efforts in Zimbabwe, perhaps some of the water challenges there and some of the solutions that are taking place, as well as the Voices for Water initiative. It promises to be a really fruitful discussion. So guys, just to get kind of started then, perhaps Lumbie, give us we like to call it the origin story, right? In terms of entry into water, your kind of, tell us the link and the story behind JB Dondolo and how that came about.
Okay, yeah, sure. So JB Dondolo was my father. He passed away a few years ago, but he is the one behind the name JB Dondolo, the charity itself. He was a humanitarian, and when he passed away, he was working on a project someplace in Zimbabwe. It was in like the rural area of Zimbabwe where they didn't have the basic necessities. So before he died, he asked his children if they could continue his work. So it took me a long time, but eventually I went back and I continued the work. And little did I know that it was a lot of work. My father was an orphan. He was never educated at all. I never thought he was working on such a humongous project. I really underestimated the effort there and what he was doing. But when I found out how much work was there, I came back to the US and started a charity and named it JB Dondolo after my father to honor his legacy so that his legacy continues to live. So I started it and it's registered here in Texas, in Austin, Texas. And we do business, however, in Africa, for now, specifically in Zimbabwe, to try and finish a project that my father started. We also do business in the US, just all over the US. So that's how the project started. And it wasn't a water project before. Water is something that we stumbled upon just from working on this project.
Okay, interesting. So you're based in Texas at the moment. So you're frequently traveling to Zimbabwe to kind of help with this. Tell us about some of the kind of how you're raising the money then and what that looks like in terms of helping those communities on the ground in Zimbabwe, particularly on water, if you will.
Right. So I used to travel before COVID-19, of course.
Yeah.
I used to travel almost every year or every other year because I wanted to be in touch with what was going on the ground, and so that I could do a better assessment when it comes to fundraising to see what the need was. We pretty much listened to what people wanted. Instead of telling them what they should have, we decided that we're going to listen to what people want, what the need was. So every time I traveled, I found out that the first time actually I traveled, I found out that water was the important thing. They really didn't care about the hospital or clinic itself. All they wanted was water. So when I came back, we started, JB Dondolo, the board members, all of us, we started a campaign on the Johnson & Johnson Care and Crowd platform, which is where Rachel works, spends most of the time. But we started a campaign to raise funds. And eventually we ran like 2 or 3 campaigns, and we had enough to purchase a water system that was recommended by the National University of Science and Technology because they went and tested the sand and the water at the project site, and they took it to the lab and they found out what was wrong with the water, and therefore they were able to tell us exactly what kind of system was required for that area, was actually sustainable for that area. So went with that suggestion and purchased the system.
Okay. I mean, if we can go back a little bit in terms of the water challenges in Zimbabwe, it's an enormous challenge, right? In terms of the capital city of 2 million people there, there's been a historic drought for 2 years. Is it the main water supply, Lake Chovero, is drying up with levels dropping? So would you say things are improving that you've seen, or do you think things are getting much worse?
I think things are getting much worse. I just found out like last week from talking to one of the people that I met through one of the podcasts, global business podcasts, that this lady had told me that she had not washed her hair in more than a week because there was no water. So I was actually surprised. I didn't know it was that bad. So right now it's really, really bad because it hasn't really rained. When it rains, it doesn't rain enough, to fill the rivers and the dams and all that stuff where water is supposed to come from. And when it rains, it pours and floods, and the water is not safe. It's not good. So it's never like a situation where they have like good rain that they can capture and have enough for everyone. There's always a shortage.
So there's a piece on Vice magazine recently, and when Vice kind of writes about water, or they did something on sewage monitoring for COVID, it's kind of taking it more mainstream. And they quoted the mayor saying how water is a perennial challenge that we need to solve right now in terms of urgent focus. So and I think you mentioned there about developing the solution, and Will, we heard from Jacob in the last podcast about developing the solutions with the community, right? Developing the solutions that are sustainable, that can be there for a long time, that can really benefit the community with the community. This is kind of really echoing part of what he was saying as well, right?
Yeah, and I it's certainly consistent with everything I've heard in terms of, well-meaning people deciding that they know what other people need in terms of technology and, best practices and so on, as opposed to, Lumbie, your point about, well, let's have a conversation. Let's find out what you believe you need. And then, couple that with, recommendations in terms of what you've seen as an expert or a series of experts. So it seems to be, as they say, the pothole that we keep falling into, which is, there's, communities, countries in need. They just need technology, and they need our technology. Well, what I think we've all been learning in the water sector is that, that doesn't work terribly well. It never really sticks in a community because it doesn't fit, from a social or cultural perspective. So I'm really glad to hear you talk about that. I just see that as really the sort of the Rosetta Stone, as they say, in terms of really how to get it right. That's interesting.
So Rachel, how are you sort of working with Lumbie then, in terms of your role in helping with perhaps creative ways of fundraising and helping to support our efforts? Tell us more about kind of, what do you do, I guess you could say.
Of course, yeah. As chief of staff, I've been able to help Lumbie in a number of different ways. And the way that we met through Caring Crowd at Johnson & Johnson was serendipitous in the fact that I saw her project on the site. So just briefly, Caring Crowd is a free crowdfunding platform, and nonprofits use it to be able to help fund their fund their global health projects. Lumbie and Rhonda, who is the fundraising director and communications director, they had this project on there. I was looking it over, and I thought it would make an incredible story just to tell the J&J community and of course, just like my network in general. And when I saw her and got to meet with Lumbie, we resonated. We just clicked immediately. And that's how I just like also fell in love with the organization, you know, the mission that they stood for. And I was like, you know what, I want to join. And so we did. And I hit the ground running, working with her, including on the Zimbabwe project. We're looking currently at sanitation. After we've been able to install the water filtration system, another issue that they're having is with sanitation and toilets. So that's something that I'm working with her on right now. But in general, just a little bit of everything from every project, every which way, and even helping with, you know, some fundraising and supporting Rhonda and our other board members.
It's interesting you say about crowdfunding, because in fact, future guests of the stream are going to be addressing the role of crowdfunding as a creatively finance innovations and water technology projects. So is that something you're still pursuing in terms of crowdfunding certain developments throughout JB Dondolo? Yeah.
Yes, most definitely. We're definitely going to be using it again for projects as they come up. Maybe even for one of our projects in the United States, we might be doing that for in the future. And the project I'm thinking of at the top of my head is in Newark, New Jersey, but that is for a different discussion in case, you know, you guys wanted to get into that a little bit more.
No. Let's run with that.
Okay.
Well, I'm interested in, you know, crowdfunding and what you're doing in the U.S. And, you know, weave it all together. So
sure.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess to start with the Newark, it didn't start as a crowdfunding project. That's just something that we're thinking about strategizing to continue to make it a sustainable solution down the road. But Lumbie, would you like to talk about, you know, how that project came about? Yeah, go for it.
Right. For New Jersey, it's similar to like Flint, Michigan, when they didn't have water. I think it's still going on. They still don't have clean water. But Newark, New Jersey also has like lead poisoning in their water. So people are not drinking the water from the tap or from anywhere. They would rather drink like bottled water. So when we heard about that and people were like reaching out and saying, you know, they really, really need help from outside. And we went in, you know, just to give them relief, not really for like one-time relief, because we didn't know it was going to be such a long project. We didn't know it was going to take like 2.5 years for them to have clean water, have the water pipes replaced. It's not that the city of New Jersey is not doing anything. They are doing something, but it's going to take longer to replace all the water pipes within 2.5 years. So in the meantime, people are not drinking any water from the water tapes. So went in and delivered some water, distributed some water with the church, Paradise Baptist Church. One of our board members, Patricia Ellis, flew down there and stayed there for a little while, you know, kind of getting used to the community and connecting with the people on the ground. And then the day off, she was able to actually distribute the water and hand it out to people and actually carry it to the cars and everything and talk to the people, which I thought was really nice.
Yeah.
So that's what we did in New Jersey. But we want to continue because we promised the water we had was 6 pallets of water. We ran out of that water within less than 2 hours. People lined up starting from 5 a.m. and we got there 10 a.m. because we didn't know people were going to be lined up that long. Sure. But by the time we got there, Patricia distributed and the church distributed all the water in less than 2 hours, and we promised that we're going to go back. So by this time when we go back, we don't want to just hand out the water. We want to really talk to the people and talk to the city to see where the gap is and try and mitigate maybe, find a way for them to trust each other and start drinking the water.
So thanks for sharing that. Not to go too far off into a tangent, but I think this is a follow-up discussion that we should have. You know, Tom and I are obviously actively engaged in environmental and social issues around water. And one of the things we've been talking about is, these podcasts are great, you know, but we really want to have an impact. You know, we really want to be part of a solution. So coming out of the podcasts, you know, in some cases, we believe we want to have follow-up conversations and see where we can be helpful and start scaling solutions and driving change faster than, you know, any of us can do alone. So we're going to bug you after this podcast and schedule another call. and I've got a totally unrelated question. So, Rachel, what is a student Pugwash?
Oh, yeah.
Did I get that right?
Yeah, so Student Pugwash, that's another nonprofit that I'm engaged with as vice chair, actually. And Student Pugwash is an organization that helps, empowers, and equips students and young professionals, and even lifelong students, to shape, critically analyze these societal dimensions of science and technology. It's, I guess, wrapped up really quickly. It's like ethics and STEM. But we do so much more, and we encompass so much greater issues that go beyond just like the physical sciences. I mean, we talk about social sciences, climate change, global health, like everything. And it's just a way to be able to help students and young professionals and lifelong students become engaged and to really think about what it means to be a global citizen.
Awesome.
And I guess the way Pugwash
that sounds awesome. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, it is. No, it's awesome.
It does.
Yeah.
Quick plug in.
I see you getting fired up.
Oh no, this is good.
Oh, yeah.
We want to see the T-shirts. All that.
Can you send us the T-shirts for a future podcast?
Very,
maybe
very rich. Too.
Nice, Tom.
Hey, always after the merch, right?
Swag is important, as we know. Now I'm confident that Rachel and Lumbie are going to turn around and ask for the stream T-shirts and coffee mugs and all that. So
yes,
I'm down for that.
Yes.
Q1 of 2021 T-shirts. By the end, there's going to be stream tattoos available. So one step at a time, right?
Right.
Yes.
Okay, so Lumbie, I was just looking a bit through your profile beforehand, and tell me about this Pacific Swim. Something in terms of helping. Right. Was there a long swimmer? Is it Ben LeConte?
Right. I was involved in this long distance swim with the swimmer named Ben LeConte. He's a Frenchman that lives here in Texas, lives in San Antonio. And I was part of this swim team, not because I was swimming or anything, because I can't swim at all. But I was really more like more like an administrative staff person at first, helping out and stuff like that. Eventually, I became like a sponsor on the on that swim to promote my products and JB Dondolo and stuff like that. But what that was, he was swimming the Pacific Ocean, starting from Tokyo, Japan, to San Francisco, California. That would have taken him about 6 to 8 months to swim. And he started swimming, but they ran into a lot of problems with the weather. And he kept going back to start all over and come back again. But eventually they just stopped the swim because it was impossible. I think it was some kind of, what do you call it, that storm that develops on the ocean that you just can't fight and just couldn't go through it. What was that?
It was probably a typhoon, is what that sounds like.
Yeah, that's what it is. Typhoon, yes, that's what it is. I'd forgotten the name, but that's it. So eventually he ended up just abandoning it and not doing it. But he did continue from Hawaii to San Francisco, and that one was successful. He already had swam the Atlantic Ocean before. So this was his second swim. So he did actually succeed with the last one.
Yeah, I mean, typhoons and swimming perhaps are not the best mix, but great to hear there was a kind of a completed swim at the end of it. But I think that's really interesting. Have you heard of Lewis Pugh, the South African guy who swam around different oceans to raise awareness of microplastics in the ocean? And there's pictures of him across a press in kind of the Arctic, swimming between icebergs. Amazing visuals. If you haven't seen it, go away and Google it. It's for people listening. It's really incredible. So I think, I think finding something that maybe captures the imagination of the wider public to then draw attention to fundraising efforts is really great. And so there's another initiative in terms of Voices for Water, right? So tapping into music. So a little dance then, Lumbie, come in. This is something that gets you fired up, right? You almost went into a little, I'm not sure if there's a tango or something there going on. But so tell us, Voices for Water, what is that? Tell us about it.
Right. So Voices for Water is it's an initiative for JB Dondolo where we award people that are passionate about water, that are the voices for water, that represent the brand, work with JB Dondolo, help us advance our cause, help move the needle forward, if you wish. Because we want to acknowledge those people, with an award that says you are a water champion because you are helping us advance our cause, you are helping us accomplish our mission and goals. So that's going to be like once a year. It's going to be on November the 14th, and it's going to award to a few people. It's also going to include the Presidential Service Volunteer Awards, because we are a certifying organization. So, and also the Voices of Water Awards, and a few other awards too that were like grandfathered from the previous year. We used to have an awards ceremony. So these are like grandfathered into the Voices of Water Awards.
Cool. Love the name. In terms of people involved in it, in terms of musicians and things, who would we have sort of heard of in terms of backing it? You've got a team of ambassadors involved in this, right? Yes, we do. In terms of songs, obviously we're going to showcase the winner of the Music for Water competition at that gala. So that's going to be a big thing for people to hear the song entirely for the first time live and as they perform, because it's going to be a streamed live on social media, and on E360 TV is the live stream sponsor for that. So people will get to see it all over the world. They'll get to see it. So, but the musicians are going to be people like Naya, Napoleon. Her name is Tracy Napoleon. She's a music artist, and also Misty Blanco is one of them. And who did we say the other one was, Rachel?
Janelle Mecca Holmes.
Janelle Mecca Holmes, yes. So those are the musicians so far. We're still in the planning phase. Yeah. I mean, I know it's this late down the road, but it's not going to be like a lot of work to do anyway. But we're in the planning phase as to who exactly is going to be the performer and stuff like that.
Well, it's in this current climate, it's good to hear about these plans and the ambitions, I think, because often, we, as an unfortunate result of COVID, gigs and live festivals and things are being cancelled, and, a lot of funding. But I think there's something pretty powerful about, not only the purpose of helping to solve water, but bringing together people through music and arts and culture, right? So kind of makes me think that we've talked about that cohesiveness and people coming together. But again, I'm going a little bit off piste here. But what would you say then has been the kind of one music or live music experience in your lives where you've just thought, wow, like, holy hell, that's incredible. Like thousands of people together, like a certain point in time, certain music. Will, why don't we start with you? I imagine there's been a few of those.
There's a lot of road miles here, Tom. So
let's explore those miles.
Yeah, so I'll give you 3. How's that?
I like it.
I grew up in New York, so going to the Village Vanguard and listening to the Modern Jazz Quartet, I would say pretty routinely, was memorable, to say the least. It really shaped my taste in music. But then a couple other eclectic things, listening to Joe Cocker play at the World's Fair in New York, after the World's Fair at the Tent of Tomorrow. So Joe Cocker was mind-blowing in so many ways, Tom, which is probably another conversation. And then Aretha Franklin, just, like maybe a year before she passed away, at a Consumer Goods Forum event in New York City. And she, just make you cry. I mean, just unbelievable. So, probably top of the list was listening to Aretha Franklin. So
amazing
anyway,
voice. Yeah, my auntie's a big Aretha fan. remember being picked up by her from the train station when I was commuting with her CDs blaring out the window in the car park. That's how it reminds me. What about you, Rachel, in terms of top live music experiences?
Sure. Well, I grew up with the theater community. And so I would say, I think hearing for one of our dress rehearsals, being able to project all of our voices for the first time, even just as like a warm up, it was really powerful. So I would say that was my first like moment of realization that music truly like has power to like make a difference in others. And so there was that. And of course, growing up in Northwest Indiana, I would be remiss if I didn't bring up Michael Jackson. I lived right next to Gary, Indiana, called Maryville. And growing up, I heard stories from my friends' parents, from my parents, you know, seeing him live as a kid even. So so that has also been able to shape like my music taste, but also just shape a community at large. So I think those were two definitely powerful instances for me, at least, you know, growing up, like to know that like music truly has, you know, power to be able to shape and to move people to take action.
I'm super jealous. I never got to see Michael Jackson. A friend of mine was booked into the This Is It final concerts, which unfortunately didn't go ahead. But yeah, a hugely talented artist. But what about you, Lumbie, in terms of music experiences that sort of changed your life almost?
Guess what? I got to go see Michael Jackson live.
Now you're just rubbing it in my face.
Wait a minute. This is definitely the connection between two of you here.
Serious. I got to go see Michael Jackson. It was in 1985. I'll never forget it. 1985, I just moved to the US, and I had whatever money I had, I emptied everything from my account. And I was left with nothing to buy a ticket at the very front row so I could see just Michael Jackson.
Wow.
And I will never forget it. It was the most beautiful experience in my entire life. So yes, Michael Jackson definitely, his music moves me till today. And of course, I mean, Leonard Cohen with his Hallelujah. Mm. Oh my gosh, I love that song. It really moves me. I know it moves a lot of people. Every time that song plays, a lot of people seem to resonate with it. And that's just one of my favorite songs right there.
Oh,
definitely.
Mm-hmm. I'd love to say we should probably try and play these songs in between people are playing, but we might have some copyright issues and royalties, right, Will? So we're not going to risk the stream that way. But yeah,
the stream ended
after breaching several copyrights internationally. Yeah.
Oh.
But I think it's interesting, isn't it? Like music and almost smells randomly. Bear with me here. Both have the power to transport you to a certain like date or memory in your life, right? In terms of imprinting that memory, something you smell, something that reminds you of the past, or you hear a song that takes you back. I think they're both amazing. For me, it was seeing the Red Hot Chili Peppers in 2005 in Hyde Park. It had been raining all day, thousands of people, and we had James Brown was the opening act before he passed away. Amazing, huge, and when James Brown came on, almost the rain kind of cleared, and still a really vivid memory. Kind of the sun was coming out behind him, then the Chili Peppers came on with this song, A Parallel Universe, for those of you who know it, and they had these screens behind, and they had this projected dragon literally floating behind them to the other screens with the sun setting. It was amazing. It was just thousands of people in tune with what was going on at the time, with some incredible music. So, but I'm sure we could probably carry on with this on the stream for hours and hours, right? So let's kind of maybe get back on point. So what's kind of next then for JB Dondolo? You mentioned, Rachel, about moving into sanitation. So in terms of wash, not only the water solution, but the water sanitation and hygiene aspect. So is that something you're pursuing and you're raising the money to take those solutions to Zimbabwe? Is that kind of the next phase?
Say that, yeah, for that particular project, that will be the next phase, is focusing on the sanitation aspect, because the water filtration system, well, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, we are going to need another water filtration system, because right now this system is providing clean water to about 20,000 community residents, and that's not sustainable. They say that the water, and Lumbie, please correct me if I'm wrong, but they've run out of water or I would say most tanks last 3 days, and this tank runs out every 24 hours because everybody from nearby is coming to the clinic to get clean water. So that is going to be one part, but yes, sanitation is the next phase for the Iguzi clinic project. And I would say that some of our other water initiatives are still focused mostly on water, but it's not even just fundraising, it's also planning, strategizing, and really honing in on our aligning of our mission and goals. As Lumbie said, the water, like the Sustainable Development Goal 6, clean water, just kind of we stumbled upon. And I think that because it's just been able to make such an impact, on these people's lives, we want to be really focused on the initiatives to be on clean water and providing and removing barriers of access to clean water for all underserved communities.
Well, it ties in, it links to everything else as well, right? If you can get clean water right, then in terms of less people needing healthcare support, in terms of often, young children and girls, it's their responsibility to fetch that water. And if you can provide that clean water, it puts them back into education. And so there's so many kind of benefits as a result of making sure that clean water is in place.
Exactly.
So Lumbie, so sanitation is your next focus for...
Yes, definitely. Right now in Zimbabwe, there is a lockdown.
Yeah.
But as soon as that lockdown is lifted, then we can go in and see what we can do, because everything is flooded. That's what they're saying. They only have one toilet left. I think there was once a flood or something. I don't know what happened there, but there's a definite, like an urgent critical need right now for us to go in and take a look and see what happened. But yes, definitely sanitation is next.
Okay. Well, wish you the kind of continued luck with that. But Will, we're at the sort of half an hour mark, so we'll try and wrap up. That's absolutely flown by. But it all links in together, right? Water, sanitation, health, education. It all needs to be, if you take a step back and see the benefits to everything in the community.
Yeah. Drives economic development, ecosystem health, social well-being, business development. You can't do anything without water. And it's really the big lever in all of this. And it's still amazing to me that we haven't solved it. We haven't fixed it yet. It's it's more than amazing. It's actually appalling. So, I had a question. Fundraising, that's challenging in best of times. Just real quick, what's going on now? Is it more challenging? You seeing more people step up? Just a brief snapshot.
Yeah, right now it's definitely a challenge because nobody has money. A lot of people are kind of displaced right now because they don't have jobs because of COVID-19. So when you go out and actually, or even have a campaign and ask people to donate, it's really, really hard to get anybody to donate. Even people that used to give a little bit more cannot even do that right now. So it's a struggle where every day we're finding different ways to raise funds, to see what we can do, because it's not easy at all. It's hard.
Right.
Not just for our organization, but a lot of other organizations, nonprofits are having similar issues.
Yeah, that's what I've heard also. More challenging than it has been in the past.
I would say, honestly, that it also kind of brings up like some of these issues. Like some of these issues were already there, but they haven't been like looked at or highlighted until like COVID-19 hit. And I think in general, like if there is any silver lining to this pandemic, it would be that we're really looking at ourselves. We're really reflecting on who we are as a society and, where we see these issues. And while there's, of course, a lot of devastation and destruction, I think, kind of with the way that water is even, it also brings in some sort of renewal and a refresh, or maybe even a restart. So while, yes, I definitely agree with Lumbie that that fundraising has been very challenging for many nonprofits beyond, JB Dondolo. But I think it also is helping us be more strategic. It's helping us be focused, and it's really helping us be more creative with fundraising and finding opportunities where we didn't think that existed in the first place. Right.
Well, it sounds as if there's the ongoing challenge of water and of wash in Zimbabwe is not going away. There's a lot of so congratulations on what you've done so far in terms of helping with that change, and also focusing on sanitation as well. Also, good luck for the Voices for Water Gala campaign. Hopefully, maybe you'll invite me and Will to come and sing a duet on stage.
Yes.
Not that I'm volunteering us. Not that I even know that, I can't hold a tune for Toffee, but hopefully you can, Will.
No, you have the wrong partner here for that. So I like to listen to music, and I just kind of keep it in that box,
We'll just mime then together, right?
Right, exactly.
Okay, well, listen, Rachel and Lumbie, thanks so much for your time. Great to hear more about JB Dondolo, your father's legacy, as well as, the situation not only in Zimbabwe, but also in Newark, closer to home. So wishing you guys the best of luck for the continued development. And let's keep in touch.
Thank you very much. And thank you for having us on here. Really appreciate it.
We appreciate it. Well, thanks for telling your story. We appreciate it too. So
yeah, inspirational work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Be well. Bye.